Hi everyone, Hot Rod Matty here, and today I thought I'd give you a quick little look at a 1948 Ford F1 pickup that I've been working on. 48 to 52 are pretty much the same sort of body style or cab style. The big grille up front and big wide fenders, and I picked this up probably about, I want to say, a couple of years ago now, and I actually found it in the back of a scrapyard. So it looks like it's kind of painted red and all intact, but they literally just got some red paint and painted over every single thing they could kind of find. So strikers, rubbers, screws, you name it, the lot. So what I've been working on, kind of two parts to it. One, I've been chipping away at the bodywork. And those brown areas you can see is where I've stripped it back to bare metal, gotten rid of all the filler, and there was a fair amount of it, and then started to try and straighten it out. It's not all done, but this fender's kind of as straight as I could get it, just with hand tools. A little bit dusty now, but fairly straight. And then started getting ready for some rust repair. So there's a few areas down here, and down the back there's some dodgy repairs that might need to be replaced, and just trying to clean all the hooks off and bolts and things like that made it look a lot more like a work hack and took away from the lines of the car. So I weld all these holes back up as well. It should just look factory, but a lot neater. And then this is just brown primer for the time being. They didn't have black, they didn't have another color, so I've replaced rust with a rust colored primer, but whatever. So just to give an indication of how much filler there was, that bolt was only visible once I went down to bare metal. So this whole section was kind of dented in a little bit, and they went over it with some filler. And I think when I was going down, I went down through about 4 colors. So I'm pretty sure originally this was I'm going to take a stab at like a dark green body with a light green fenders front and back. Someone might correct me and say, no, it was dark green and lighter green, reverse, whatever. But there were greens. So sometimes someone decided that red's faster, and that's what they went with. So that's the first part I've been chipping away at, and this is me also learning how to panel beat and how to do rust repair, and the next stage is really to teach myself how to weld. So not a new skill for a lot of people, but a new skill for me. So then the second part has really been around trying to work out the stance, and I actually found these artillery rims. These are original 1930s artillery rims that I'm trying to get restored. I media blasted them and epoxy primed them, and then tried to get rid of some pitting, and we won't go into the story about these hoops, but looks like I've got to re-hoop them or get some re-pop wheels. But anyway, as far as suspension, I've gone for, I want to go low, but in a traditional way. And on the rear, you can see the bracket where the leaf springs used to mount. So they would sit underneath the springs. And now I'm trying to reposition them back on the top. Got everything I need to do the rebuild. I'm just waiting for some brackets to arrive, and then I'll get those welded in place, and then that should be about a 4.5 to 5 inch lowering on the rear. That does push everything up close to the chassis rail, so this might have to get a C-section. But it'll have the same diff, it'll have the same rear suspension architecture and blah blah blah, right? So it'll be low, cool, close to stock, but that C-section is going to definitely change it. On the front, it's a little bit similar, so trying to go the traditional lowering job route, but this time I've gone for a dropped axle. So this is an aftermarket axle. It's about a 3.5 inch drop. Surface rust on it now. I'm trying to get everything positioned, but it's a tube axle, big drop here, all new hardware. I've got a Kingpin rebuild kit as well that'll get changed. What I'm trying to work out now is to get the tie rod to clear the springs. I've had to go for some dropped tie rod ends, which is fine, but they're actually quite long, and so something's going to have to get cut. So I might cut these down and see how we go, but my main concern is the old tie rods are about this long, and so I've got another 2.5 inches. So worst case scenario might be a cut and shut of the tie rod, or get a new tube. So let's see. So just working through that now, but that will get a all new brass sleeves, all new bolts. Exposing the brakes. I've got new wheel cylinders, new springs and hardware coming in. As I said, the Kingpin's getting a rebuild, so it should all look pretty stock and traditional. All the brakes will get redone as well, but it should look pretty cool. Now, for the motor, this is why I absolutely fell in love with this this pickup. This still has the original flathead V8, and that's why I'm really loving this truck. I love the whole story of the flatheads. I love that these things were kind of airdropped back during the war and started after 30-40 years. It's just awesome. So it's going to stay a flathead. This is not going to be a drag car, so you know it's going to be low, cool, and all the rest of it. It looks like it has been converted to a 12 volt, so the generator's gone. There's an alternator and you know a lot of the fuses and things like that, relays. I'm not an electrician, but I'm pretty sure those are all the signs of a 12 volt conversion. Now what I might go is some period correct speed parts, so Edelbrock or an Eddie Mayer intake, maybe double or triple carbs, but the 2-barrel 97s, they're super cool. And let's just see what I kind of come up with. Trying to see what the code is. I know if I Google it, I'll find out which flathead it is, because you can count the bolts and work it out, but I'm not going to do that now. So that's super cool. I'm really happy about that, and that's going to stay a flathead V8, and it's going to stay a terrible 3-speed with terrible rear gears, but you know that's just the character of the car. Now beyond that, this is where things start to change, and I'm going to head down a bomb type of build. So not quite a low rider, but bomb style. So the bomb style is pretty cool because you'll have all of the traditional, and I've been online hunting stuff on eBays and parts swappers and things like that. That's an original Thermador kind of old school air conditioner. So what these do is they'll mount in the gap of the window up here, and there'll be a rod that stabilizes it, and it'll hang out here, and the rod will stabilize in through there. Air will come in through here and be directed into the cabin through here, and that's just cool old school ingenuity, right? So so it took a little bit of effort to find an original one, but there you go, and there's a bit of hardware there. So over $100 to get an ashtray, would you believe it? So but I mean there was a hole there and you need to fill it. So what it will get is period correct accessories, So when I say period correct, it's stuff that might look a little bit out of place, but it's actually quite cool. So if you can see that indicator stick, for example, that replaces a simple toggle switch, and that's just an example of the aftermarket accessories that they used to have. Found an original torch, I'll mount that up there. The artillery wheels that were on it outside are part of it. There'll be a old school luggage rack, harmonica style luggage rack that'll sit in there. Yellow lensed fog lights will sit about here where someone's done something. I don't know what that is. There's shitty welding on the top and it's flat on the bottom, but anyway. Get the bumpers chromed and get these chromed, and it'll just be nice, clean, low, period correct little cruiser. Just be a cool truck. And then you can see where I did start some, knowing that I'll go back to metal on a lot of this, started some of the pinstriping just to give it a shot and see how we go. That's the back of the truck. So cool insignia on the back. You know, there's no point cleaning all that up and going smooth. I mean, that's character, right? So I want to keep all that. Under the truck is pretty dirty and rusty, if I'm honest. A lot of it looks like surface rust. There have been some surprises. There are some holes up on the bodywork in a lot of places. So I dare say some of the panels are going to get replaced. You know, if you see up and through here, you know, there's a bit of average metalwork there, and some tin worm has been there as well. But you know, these, you can get a lot of these aftermarket panels. I will try and fix what I can. I would like to keep it original, not for the sake of saving money, but more just to keep as much of the old truck as possible, and see if we can get this kind of on the road and driving in the next year or so. It'd be ideal. They are cool trucks. They do turn heads. Even parked here, there's a lot of people who'll come and want to know more about it. It was driving. I did drive it out of the scrapyard, and I'll have to find a the video of me actually driving it out. But yeah, it'll be all cool. All this window hardware, that's all getting replaced because it's, you know, it's pretty average. Someone's done some pretty average stuff to it, and there just isn't metal in some places to repair it, so that'll get replaced. The rain gutter is got a fair bit of rust in it. I was considering just removing the rain gutters, but I've now got a Fulton 1000 aftermarket sun visor. So that'll look nice and cool, and they do bolt onto the side of the visor, as well as there's a roof mount in the middle as well. So that's now got to stay. So let's see how we go. I'll try and add a few updates as we get on with it. It is just me working on it at home. There are updates on my Instagram account, Hot Rod Matty, one word, and Matty's with 2 T's. And I'll do post a few bits and pieces, so if you want to have a look. But yeah, that's the 1948 Ford F1 pickup. Cheers.